Shri Krsna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaura Shri Shri Vrindavan Maya Purnam Shaturam Jagannath Puri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Gita Aratika, Richmond Yatra. So this is going to all those people. All glory to the assembled ones. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Adonai.
So what is the first verse?
Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samvetayuksava Mamaka Pandavaseva Kurvata Sanjaya.
Right. So he's asking.
He's asking what my Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya. What is my sons and Pandavas are doing in the battlefield at the Kurukshetra?
Yeah. Dharmakshetra.
Especially this one who supports the one who is on the side of Dharma.
Good place. Have you gone there?
I haven't particularly visited that location, but
maybe 2 times. You go north from Delhi, right?
Yes, from Delhi.
You go right, it goes to Karna's place, Karna or somebody. You go left, you come to Kurukshetra. It's Kurukshetra Museum. Yeah. Then we used to have some, the government was giving his some property there. No, what happened? They didn't develop it. Prophet told Ambarish to dedicate, stuff to dedicate the place in Kurukshetra. The government gave him land, but Jyotisar, That was what they say. Bhagavad-gita was actually spoken from Jyotisar. But they weren't doing anything really. So they may have taken it back from somebody else. But there's one place, what is it? It's the biggest tank in Asia. See, Parasaram, where he was taking blood from all the Kshatriyas a long time ago. It's very big. I mean, that way goes a long way that way. It's this big swimming pool, just like on these different times, like in 20,000 people. So there's like chains going in where you can go in, not get drowned and stuff like that. They wrote water from the Yamuna or something, or Ganga, to fill it and so on. So some places there's a museum, except the museum. Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra, Samaveta, Yutsava. One time I was the Prabhupada's Avirbhava, that's it, disappearance festival. And there's going to be a big, the Riks were going to have a big symposium, show that everybody was bogus and all this kind of stuff. And so this kind of devotees were lining up the authorities to have, and so then, maybe like at least a couple of days, people giving like, remembrances of Prabhupada glorification. And always the Radharaman Swami, Vishwambar, would come, and say something about Prabhupada. And he said he came in, sitting there, and give okay, Chinese speak, please. And he said, "Oh, I'm so disturbed. I'm coming here, and I've heard from people that now there's going to be this big battle in ISKCON." Prabhupada's, said that's disappearance day. We're all going to fight each other. And he said, you shouldn't do that in Vrindavan. He says, if you want to have a fratricidal family war, you should go to Kurukshetra. That was it. Always, that's okay. Vrindavan. Very famous place. And, how many verses in Bhagavad-gita? 100, 500, 700, 2,000. Huh? 700. Okay. How many chapters? Okay. Yeah. How were they divided? Usually divided into 3 groups.
Karma Yoga.
No?
Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana.
Yeah. How many chapters each one?
6.
Yeah, it's like the devil. It's the Christian tradition. Yeah. So in the beginning, in the beginning, and then so that's what happens. And what happens? What does Sanjaya report?
Sanjaya reports that he describes all the kings who is on whose side.
Yeah.
And then
does he describe what Duryodhana next?
Yeah, the second verse. What is the first word? I forgot when you.
In translation.
Yeah, so he is telling that the side is the Kauravas are led by Duryodhana.
Yeah.
And
Drishtvata Pandava.
Drishtvata Pandava Nikama. Yodam Duryodhana Stata.
Yeah.
Acharya Raja Vachanama.
Jujudana.
Yeah.
Or something was
Yeah.
it? Mr. Dunya.
Drishtvata is leading the Pandava side.
Yes.
And Duryodhana is on this side.
So he goes and has an assembly of his commanders. He starts
Yes.
to glorify all the soldiers on his side.
Yes.
He thinks that he's glorifying Bhishma a lot.
Yes.
And he thinks other people all walking in feel like I'm not properly glorifying them. He's always a politician.
Yeah. He says
And
that.
then what happens?
So, and then Arjuna comes in picture, and so he explains about who is sounding the conch shells, who is do and what conch shells.
Bhishma just to encourage him.
Yeah. So
Blows his conch shell.
and then Krishna blows his Panchajanya,
And everybody's very disturbed at that point.
Yeah.
It's transcendental.
Yes, and Arjuna.
What is the ratio of Lakshmi?
11 Akshognis on Duryodhana and 7 on Pandavas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you have to fight with 7 of you, you have to fight with 11 people.
Yes.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's quite
It's
unbalanced.
Yeah, it's almost like 2 to 1. That's really right.
Unbalanced, quite so. Yes, so he explains all of it.
Then, Arjuna,
Yeah.
he says to explain the Arjuna.
And he says that Senayor Ubayor Madhya Radha Stapayam.
Take my chariot.
In between.
So nectar of devotion, complete science of bhakti yoga, if you actually want to figure out how to get out of this place, is really based upon drama theory. Yeah. What is Ayurveda? Ayurveda deals with Ayurveda. Ayurveda deals with medicine, right?
Medicine, yeah.
Ayur,
Yeah.
Prana.
Yeah. To longevity.
Yeah.
In Vastu Veda,
Directions.
architecture. Ayurveda, Vastu Veda, all these are Veda, wisdom, you can realize the truth of these things. In Danda Veda,
Yeah, it's a military science.
no, it's just the science of the king.
Danda Veda. Yes, Danda Veda.
Yeah,
Yes, Danda Veda.
Danda
Yeah.
Veda is part of
Yeah.
that.
Danda Veda.
That's what Bhishma teaches. You just do Danda because the king has the Danda for correcting people. The teacher has.
Danda Veda.
And what is Gandharva Veda?
Dance. Dance.
Huh?
Dancing.
What are Gandharvas? Horses, elephants. Gandharvas are
Devitas.
fairies.
Fairies,
Celestial.
yeah.
You know fairies, right? Fairies have wings.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the queen of the fairies? You know the history of King Arthur? Remember. Who's King Arthur? Is he French? King Arthur was French, Russian, or English? English, okay. And who was this one? Morgan Le Fay is the queen of the fairies. When translation published says Gandharvas, parentheses, fairies. And of course, in the Lord of the Rings, they have elves and people like that. They're like Gandharvas. And the descriptions that are in the, traditions and legends, the history of King Arthur and all this kind of stuff, it's so much like the description of the fairies. They live on an island. The Gandharva Loka is like 70 miles above the earth. Which is just about where most of the communication satellites travel. Yeah. And it's describing the same thing. But these are not like islands made of dirt, or like electromagnetic islands, or that you can have. Radio's transmitting something, you should have an electromagnetic world. Okay. So Gandharva Loka is 70 miles above the earth. It's describing the level of consciousness and subtleness and all this kind of stuff. And Morgan Le Fay, she's queen of the fairies. And they live on an island floating above the earth. New California, you've heard about it. Off the coast from Los Angeles is an island. It's a very recreation place. Avalon. 25 miles across the sea. Avalon. So that's an island, and it has like a lot of people go there with their yachts and stuff for the weekends, and you go in little clubs and places there. It's a nice place. Let's go to Avalon. It's the same thing where they were staying and stuff. So anyway, on this subtle level, Gandharvas. So nectar of devotion is based upon Gandharva Veda. The Gandharvas are expert in singing. And Prabhupada says the first result of singing is that you want to dance. Yeah, first the sound, then touch. And then drama. You organize the singing, dancing, and drama. It's kind of, I guess, all Vedic drama is pretty much opera. And so then the authority, the acharya for drama is Bharata.
Yeah.
And historically, he's like maybe not before Christ, maybe 200, 300, 400 years. And then David Haberman, in his introduction to the Nectar of the Ocean, he has a very, very nice history. Maybe like 100 BC or something, there's things by him, which, that's the oldest books we have by him at this time. And so he was trying to analyze what is it that creates these sentiments and emotions, what kind of emotions are there. So it's a whole drama theory. And of course, this was a big part of the Greek classical education, which was drama, gymnastics, and something else. And I think that was what we call classical culture. And drama was divided into writing the dramas, performing them, and criticizing them. They're all considered to be essential for education. So, who was a disciple of Socrates? Anybody here have a bachelor's degree? Huh? Socrates' disciple was?
Plato?
Plato.
Oh, Plato.
Plato's disciple was Aristotle. And Aristotle comes into the West through Averroes. He's a Muslim, Islamic scholar, maybe through Spain. Africa starts south of the Pyrenees, dividing France from the Iberian Peninsula. Spain is the Pyrenees. The Basques live there, and so it's always kind of like tossing back and forth. So the Muslims for so many years had conquered that area, and the Christians chased them out, and went back and forth. So I think Averroes, he may have been either in North Africa, or he may have been in Spain. And then he influenced St. Thomas Aquinas, who's a gigantic. Look at them and Wikipedia and stuff, and you'll find out, you say, yeah, all of our, the way we think about everything else, he's one of the biggest people. St. Thomas Aquinas took his doctorate from the University of Paris. It was maybe like about 100 years before Lord Chaitanya or something. 100 years before Columbus discovered America. So they still were thinking that there's nothing beyond the Azores with monsters, sea monsters. You go off the edge if you keep going or something. Something happened.
There's someone at the door. There's someone at the door.
Oh, okay. So, really closely, we try to minimize it now, but actually, most of the Arabic culture and so on is far more sophisticated than European culture, medicine and everything else. So, St. Thomas Aquinas was taking his doctorate at the same time as Saint Bonaventura. They were arguing who's going to take it first, and it's more prestigious. Because they're Christians, they both wanted to take it second. So, they finally, St. Thomas Aquinas lost, and he ended up taking it first. And St. Thomas Aquinas, his idea from Aristotle was that the way to understand everything is to analyze it. If you want to understand a rabbit, right, you pop his eyeballs out, you pop his teeth out, you take his ears off, you cut him open, you take everything out, okay? And now we understand the rabbit. We analyzed him. Science analyzed into the elements. The Bonaventura's idea was synthetic. Okay, you find out where the rabbit lives, you make friends with him, you find out where he likes to eat, you eat the same things after a while. But St. Thomas Aquinas' ideas were predominating, and finally the Pope declared directly whatever he said, that's how we're going to explain our philosophy and everything else. So that's how we developed a particular view of reality and science and so on from this tradition. Well, science is not religious. We become completely out of religious tradition almost. So some topic that we got to do. Okay. So then St. Thomas Aquinas also, he had biology, all these things. He also had drama, the whole theory of drama. For Bharata Muni, the essence of the drama is the bhava, the perspective, the attitude, it's the consciousness that when you come in, go in, you come out, you come out with a different consciousness. How many people here ever see a kung fu movie? Jackie Chan or they say that the plot for them also is just kind of a way to hang together the different fight scenes and stuff. Okay. So that's more Bharata Muni Asian idea. But for Aristotle, the essence of the drama was the plot. Okay. If you go to drama school in UCLA, which is one of the biggest places in the world, so many people come out of there. The guy says, your plot, you should be able to say your plot in one sentence. Okay. The whole movie. Some girl is kidnapped by evil Burmese. So some Manipuri girl is kidnapped by evil Burmese drug dealers and taken to their drug factory in Kingdom. Her brother with some of his friends get together and go and rescue her and destroy the drug factory. Okay, Kung Fu Killers of Hare Krishna Mountain. Yeah. So okay. So for Bharata Muni, for us, the essence of the drama is the plot. That's how it goes, with passion. But for Bharata Muni, the essence of the drama is the perspective. Like this is Peter Brook's Mahabharata, he adopts this and he says, if you're telling the boy who's going to tell the story to the Mahabharata, it's about you, it's about Bharata. And if you listen carefully, when it's over, you'll be somebody else. Very different theory of drama. So anyway, Bharata Muni analyzes it into that there's 5 major vibhavas. This is the entire southern part of nectar of devotion. Vibhava, Anubhava, Sattvika Bhava, Vichari Bhava, and Sthai Bhava. These are the 5 elements of the Brahma. Vibhava is what stimulates us. The scenery, all these kind of things. The Krishna smile, all this kind of stuff. Okay. And then there's a reaction. Okay. So the reaction directly from the self, like crying or hiccuping or having stun, this is all anubhava. The sattvika bhava comes right from the self. You can't use, it doesn't require any intelligence. But anubhava, okay, this is like you want to dance or you want to sing. This requires a little intelligence to manifest. So vibhava, okay. We test afterwards. Okay. Sattvika bhava, and anubhava. Now, within all these little reactions and stuff, because when actors are acting, that's what happens. And it's very good. It's all Western drama theory. It's so nice you can look at the whole thing. Western drama theory, when the actors are acting, it starts to create a reaction in other actors. You ever had any drama courses? Yeah, okay. So you do improvisational theater?
I have one.
Okay, yes, it's very nice. You see, this is exactly, you can compare it to what we're doing. You see so many elements. Viola's woman, her son, what's his son's name? He's in the Britannica. Paul Sills. She's called, the grandmother of improvisation. She wrote a book called Improvisation for the Theater. It's one of the best books ever read. We use the first maybe like 10% is drama theory. It's very nice. What is drama? What's happening? And for her, the highest realization is the environment. The big E, the environment. And basically what she's talking about is Paramatma. So the actor has to get involved. And the actor serves with body, words, and mind. And this is what a sannyas, it's exactly the same thing. So what they're promoting is basically sannyas yoga, Paramatma yoga, that you get in touch with this thing, you surrender to it. Okay, talks about it. The entire rest of the book is games, right? In theater, right? Yeah. And it's just, then Shvala Spolin was taking this from Neighbor Boy, in the 1920s or something. And she was working in Chicago with the Hull House, we really taught inner city kids and how to get them involved. And she had this whole thing of games where kids can be involved in playing games and stuff. Okay. The game is you set certain rules, so as long as you don't break those, you can do whatever you want to do. So it allowed for creativity and all this kind of stuff. The whole theory of education and games. So that's the idea in the games you learn to play and everything else. Point of concentration. Did you get that? You're doing. So improvisation, you get who?
Where you are.
These are all interrogatories. Yeah. who, where, when, what, why. Kaha, kun, Spanish, quién, con, cuando, que, yeah. Okay. You're in Africa. Okay. They're surrounded by cannibals. Okay. And they're talking about whether they're going to eat you or not. You start, you see it comes out. You start to develop abilities and so on. Okay. So then there's Vibhava. Swami takes us all into this tradition, but makes it into a yoga. Vibhava is the stimulus. Krishna's smile, Krishna's word. Satvika Bhava is our reaction of just from the heart, singing, not singing and dancing, trembling, tears flowing, things that have hair standing on end. Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Varipamaja Manasasa. Romancha, Romancha, Kampa, Ashitaram Gabaja. This is all Satvika Bhava. Nanubhava is the things that are singing, dancing, external. Okay. Then comes Staibhava. There's Shanta Staibhava, Dasya Staibhava, Sakya Staibhava. This is just the immature fruit when it becomes, the reaction becomes fully awakened to rasa of Krishna and the extremes of rasa, prema. It's like I have a seed, okay? The seed. Okay. I got someone sends it to me in the mail, a whole plant that should become rich. Okay. So I plant it. Okay. You got to protect it, you got to water it, and it grows up. And finally, it's always it's an apple, but a different kind of apple. Okay. Just it's a Bhava Bhakti. That level, you understand your relationship with Krishna and everything else, and cow, or whatever, but it's not mature. So Bhava Bhakti, the Prema Bhakti, is just going from this stage to, there's all knowledge is there, everything else, but it's just not mature, not intense. So your Staibhava is your fundamental relationship with Krishna. Well, the Yashoda's Staibhava is? What's that? Yeah, parental. Yeah. Balaram's Staibhava is?
Sakya, Vatsalya is in between.
Yeah. It's a mixture. So the next part of the book starts talking about the 5 primary mixtures, 5 primary mellows. Then the other part talks about the secondary mellows, the 7 secondary mellows, which have to be based upon primary mellows. So what's Vishnudeva's rasa with Krishna?
Yeah, it's silent with virya.
Yes, predominantly it's virya. Yeah. But sometimes the virya and secondary rasa is so big it covers the primary rasa, but it has to be there. So he's fighting within everything else, and his virya feelings are very prominent. But behind it all, yes, is dasya. It's covered. So proper and improper mixtures of mellows. There's rasa bibats is when that's in my mixture. Okay. You can have vanilla peppermint ice cream. It's okay. You don't like it? No. Okay.
Peppermint is
vanilla strawberry ice cream. Okay. Different taste. What about chocolate and broccoli ice cream? Okay. So this is bibats. It's an improper mixture. Even what's his name, Euclid? Although so much science is based upon Euclid's principles. If you ask them where the axioms come from, you say, I'm a scientist, I'm not one of these faith-based traditions. Do you have axiomatic faith in the postulates of Euclid? Mr. Scientist? Miss Scientist? Yeah, because there are the axioms, the postulates, and they start pushing these things like the Wizard of Oz. Don't look behind the curtain. Yeah. Why do you believe in this? Well, they're rational. No, you can't have rational thought without Euclid's principles. You can't generate numbers. You can't count these things. What is Euclid's definition of a point? As a mathematician.
It's
very philosophical. A point is that which has no extension, it has no width, it has no depth, it has no length, it has no mother, it has no father, it has no color, it has no taste. Sanskrit, neti. Yeah, this, not this, not this, not this. So what is the point? Well, it's not this, it's not, no, what is it? What is that? It's a very, very philosophical way of starting to look at reality, which is not, it never defines it. It says what it isn't. Very interesting. Okay. That's the basis of, because you can't have arithmetic without you could. I went coursing. I showed us that you could generate the number system from the Euclid system. What else so without Euclidean principles, you can't count. Without counting, you can't have arithmetic. Without arithmetic, you can't have geometry or algebra or calculus. So the Buddha told me that she didn't need anything more than calculus to build a 747. So it's like some of the other systems. There are non-Euclidean systems but very few who don't involve these basic principles like that. If you take Euclid away from them from science, they're hitting each other with rocks and stuff. But where do his axioms come from? Why do you believe it? Yeah, it's a difficult question. You start talking about silence. You look at the people that were there at the beginning, they say, well, because they felt right. They feel right. So the Vedas say everything ultimately is rasa. It's just sentimental sentiments. And, so, but there's a certain kind of sentiment. Okay. So then we have our Stai Baba, and Balaram is predominantly Sakya Ras, Sambhasaya Ras, because he's Krishna's big brother. Okay. Yep. Balaram and Radharani and Krishna. Okay. First time. Do you like chocolate broccoli ice cream? No, I hate it. Me too. Do you like peppermint? I like it. And the very first meeting of Radha and Krishna, all young boys and girls, and Balaram's thinking, this is going a little too fast here. Now, Krishna, it's time to take the cows home now. Oh, Balaram, can't Krishna stay a little bit longer? We'll be back tomorrow, Radha. Don't worry. I'll make sure he's safe. So you see, all the different things are mixing together properly. Every has a function. The gopis, the Vrajvasis, they all want to save Krishna from Kaliya. Right? They want to enter the water. But Balaram knows they're all going to die. They do that. So he extends his arms and stops them all. He sacrifices his ecstasy to be Guru. So even in Goloka, the Vrajvasis are regulated by Guru, Balaram. That's how they all fit together. Yeah. So Stai Baba. Okay, before that we have B Baba, Satvika Baba, Anu Baba, and Stai Baba. But in between is Abachari Baba. What does that mean in Sanskrit? Abhichari. What does that mean? B means Baba means very much extensive,
more aggressive.
And Abhi towards. And Chari means moving. It's what brings you towards your Stai Baba very, very strongly. Okay. So when Mother Yashoda is seeing Krishna captured by Devi Krishna by Kaliya, she may say a lot of very, very bad words about Kaliya, but you didn't know Mother Yashoda knew. Okay. Somebody is videotaping the whole thing, and afterward Mother Yashoda is seeing herself. So Mother Yashoda doesn't walk around Vrindavan talking like a sailor. Yeah, but in that situation, everybody thinks, that's nice. Okay, mother talking like that, her kid. Yeah. So that's Vichari Baba. These are things which move us toward. They move her towards her Vasaya Ras very strongly. This is all drama theory. But if you look at Lalita Madhava and Vidagha Madhava, the two dramas, Upadeshamrita is a summary, Nectar of Divorce is a complete science, and Vidagha Madhava and Lalita Madhava are demonstrations. And it's dramas then, before Swami is putting all the things together, so nicely, and one is adding here, and one is adding there. It's creating a horrible feeling of dread, and this is not going to work out. And finally, walls, and everybody's very happy. So meanwhile, back at the Bhagavad-gita, going back to it again. Okay, Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Okay. And then Duryodhana is describing all the soldiers on both sides. Okay, they're all being introduced. This is all the different Bhagavats. And then it was Vishnu blows his conch shell to find Animate as a cousin, nephew. And then Krishna blows his and disheartens everybody. Then Arjuna, looking at everybody else, tells Krishna, put me in front of these rascals and give me some vibhava, right? Because you can't fight without becoming angry. So he wants to look at all these people and remember them and think what they did and everything else. He wants to really get in this mood for a fight. And Bhishma is even worse. He's sitting over there, like looking at his watch, hitting the ground like that.
Time is coming. Let's go.
I'm saying so many years, somebody says that, the guy who says that this, don't let him lose. Bhishma has been cultivating his anger for 17 years?
Yeah.
14 years?
14 years.
14 years is like he's been building out. So he's even more. We're waiting for the fight to break out. So Krishna says, okay. Krishna's looking at Arjuna and all the situation like that. What is Arjuna's motive? What does he want? Why does he want to fight? What fight?
To begin with, to fight is he felt that something unjust has done for them initially.
Yeah. So in the beginning, what is his motive?
His motive is basically because of Dharmaraja. Everyone, his family got suffered, and Draupadi got suffered.
Oh, okay.
Especially Draupadi got suffered.
They're going out of the game of dice.
Yes. All of it.
What is it? There's new Draupadi. Right?
Yeah, especially Duryodhana, Dushasana.
Dushasana, very difficult situation. Yeah, so she's struggling to hold on to her sari, but these are like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. It's like,
yeah. Just kind of
so she's praying to Krishna, right? But with only one hand.
Yes.
And so Krishna says, okay, I can do this. I'm a Kshatriya girl. Leave me alone. She begins to realize impossible, Krishna's mercy. Then she just puts both hands in the air and says, hey, Govinda. Isn't that time for 16 rounds? Are you there? Are you God? And she's risking everything. Prabhupada says if they were able to designate her in that situation, the only thing she could have done was killed herself. It's the only way she could have maintained her honor was to kill herself. It's just, most difficult situation. So for she, okay, I can, but everything I'm going to roll the dice. Hey, Govinda. So the Shashana pulled her sari off. Right?
Yeah. But then keep coming.
Another sari, the green sari, the blue sari, the mauve sari, the elegant sari, a pop-up pink sari.
Keep coming.
People ask, what happened to all the saris? What happened to the saris? Yeah. So he gave up. We're dealing with supernatural power. So then what happened? Somebody started to get freaked out, as we say in Western English language.
Dhritarashtra is the one.
He started, things are not going too well. So he said, stop everything. He said, Draupadi, I was just trying to test everybody's dharma and see how, from the fixing our environment. And so he was trying to give advice. Ask a benediction. Yeah. What did she ask? Anything?
Free.
There's nobody here. Huh? You don't know what to ask for. She asked. He said, let Yudhishthira be free.
Yes.
It's done. Ask another benediction.
Yeah. The rest.
5 husbands.
All 5 condoms be free. It's done. He said, now ask a benediction for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And she says, my husbands are free. If I ask a third benediction for myself, it would be greed. I refuse greed. It's the destruction of everybody. Right? She's like, smaller lessons for girls. Peterbrook Mahabharata is very nice. I've seen it. Very nice. It surely shows. Actually, the only Indian in the entire cast is Draupadi. Sarvalangi or something. She's an aristocratic girl. I refuse greed. So then they're going out and get their clothes. Then they get called back in again, and they lose everything.
Yeah, the second.
Peter Mahabharata. He was this big, impetuous black guy from Uganda or something. But he went all over the world to find the actors because he's like the wind, he's impetuous. And so he called him back for one more friendly game of dice, and the minister says, "I'll go back." And Vishnu said, "Man, you nuts? You crazy? I lost everything." They're surrendered, but these are in the Peter book Mahabharata. Krsna tells you, no, you have to confront this situation. You can't avoid it. You have to become who you are. Then Bhishma said, Bhima says, "I am your neck and shoulders." Arjuna says, "I am your arms." And the twins say, "We are your legs." So that's their feeling. You just there's parts of your body. Dharma. So anyway, then the Yudhishthira says, "No, I have to go back." Why? Why do you have to go back? You're Indians. Some white guy. We did a program with the Gaudiya Math, the 500th anniversary of every time the sun outside. I was making a presentation on this thing about the Swami and modern Brahma on the second day. Dr. Samaresh, all the Bhagavad-gita, Gaudiya Math, so all the high class people from Bengal were there, the Bhagavad-gita and stuff. And what was his name? He was in charge of the Secret Service for India for some time. He became governor of Uttar Pradesh. Something like that. He was anyway. He was the chief guest. So they asked me to be inaugurated, and I said, I came back. I had to come back and tell you this thing. We have to inaugurate. What do you mean inaugurate? I mean, all these people. I just had my speech. Second day I can do it. And she said, "No, you got to inaugurate." Why is that? Because the person who's supposed to be giving it can't come, and you're the only person I can think of who can really kick in at the last moment and just do something like that. Well, what's his excuse? He died. Oh, all right, okay. So I had to get him to do this thing, and there's MK and Orion and things like that. And beside behind him were two people with machine guns. He's sitting there, looking over. He's going to indicate my death. He was watching me very intensely. So I made a presentation, and he came up after me, and he said, "I'm actually very embarrassed." And he said, "Here, Hanumatpresaka Swami comes from an American background. He knows our culture better than I do. I'm supposed to be coming from a culture of Indian family. It's embarrassing." He said, "So right now I promise in front of all of you that I'm going to study our philosophers and our literature much more seriously, especially the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu."
Wow.
And he came around. He had the karma. He was like head of the Secret Service.
Oh.
But he had this karma. Whenever you were in front of him, you wanted to confess everything.
Yeah.
It's like, look at you. "Oh yes, I stole my brother's sandals when I was 14 years old." That's the same. Yeah, it's like the job. And King Orion. So, Bhima. So they Bhima. Okay. So Krishna. Draupadi's going out there. He played the game of dice again. Why he had to play it again? Because he told me. Because was Shakuni the friend of the Kauravas?
Yes. In a sense, he's an enemy.
Yeah.
He wants to kill all of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he stayed inside and acted like.
He's so treacherous.
Yes.
Where's he from? What country?
Draupadi.
Yeah, Kandar, right?
Kandar.
Which in modern language is
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. Yeah. And then the British, the Russians, they all had the same problem. The Kurus, it's a small place in the mountain, but it's just nothing. It's like an empire eater. Rudyard Kipling was talking about the British experience there. A poem that says, "When you're lying face down on the fields of Afghanistan, a soldier, right? Yeah, and the women are coming out with knives to cut you up. Put your musket under your head and blow your brains out." That's Rudyard Kipling's the British Empire. It's very easy to get in and conquer it, but to get out and everything else. The Russians, exactly the same experience. When they got out of there, they were just torn to pieces. But the Americans, there was one movie showing all this thing. I think the American diplomats saw the movie, and they never tried to conquer it. They set up some of their own bases, and stuff, and okay, we tribal people, they never tried to conquer it. Smart. So it's Shakuni.
Yeah.
His whole thing was he saw that why were they angry?
Because the Kuru dynasty killed all of his brothers.
Family and brothers.
Duryodhana is killed all of
before
his,
that. And
Gandhari's father is Gandhari made second two marriages.
Yeah.
Before her father made his first marriage to some donkey or something.
I don't know. Because she was betrothed to the Dhritarashtra.
Yeah.
Right? And he said, he's okay, if you come under our control, our submission, we promise that your daughter will be marrying our first son, and therefore, okay. The British did the same thing. They couldn't defeat Wales from London.
Yeah.
So the Funny told him, okay, if you let us enter in and surrender and everything else, I promise you that I will only give you a ruler who's never spoken a word of English. And so therefore, as soon as they surrendered, they couldn't back out. He made his son, who was like maybe 1 year old, the Prince of Wales. Never spoke a word of English. 1 year old. Very clever. So that's why you see the the crown prince is always the Prince of Wales. So anyway, so by then she had to marry him. And later on, she discovered he was blind and he wasn't going to become king. So Shakuni, then they killed off all the rest of his relatives. And, so Shakuni did it. So his whole idea was how to destroy the Kauravas. He said, okay, if I put them against the Pandavas, so then Krishna, that will destroy them. And so then they said, okay, now I have to go back and give him one more chance. Give Duryodhana one more chance. Said, why? What do you mean? He says, because for whomever Shakuni plays, that person dies if he wins. For whomever Shakuni wins the game, that person dies. So Duryodhana right now is condemned. So I got to give him one more chance to lose.
To win.
So he went back because of that. So then they lost again. Because as they're going away, so I know at this point, as they're going away with nothing, different people are doing different things. Sanjaya is describing what's happening, and Arjuna, Bhima's beating on his arms, just scattering straw and dust everywhere. And then Draupadi, what was Draupadi doing?
I think she left her hair.
Yeah, and the Yudhishthira said, why is your hair open? Because in Vedic culture, on the widow.
Yes, and her husbands, yeah.
So and she said, I'm a widow.
Yeah.
If I had a real husband, he would have protected me.
Yeah.
any ordinary guy, this is tough. This is tough enough for any ordinary guy. But if you're a Shakti, this is too much. So Draupadi knew how to play her cards. She wasn't any. If she was a person that Duryodhana was afraid of, the Pandavas are guys, they'll forgive stuff, have some things together, okay. But she said, Draupadi, no. She's not going to forgive me until I'm dead. So it's afraid of Draupadi. So Draupadi was the cause of the whole thing. Yeah, we saw her went forever. Bhaktisiddhanta Das, he was always doing the arati for a lot of shamans from Dwarka. He was a very big artist. He actually started a whole studio in Vrindavan, doing very big projects. He published Samadhi upstairs. All those plates he made and cast and so on. Very nice person. So anyway, he organized with a bank in Delhi, like 1976 or something, Krishna and Rama in modern art. They got competition prizes. And second place was a picture of Bhishma about this big, pretty big. It's his face. He had all these wrinkles and stuff on it. But as you got closer, you saw every wrinkle was one pastime that happened. It left a mark on his face. His face was like, the result of all these things he'd gone through and all these struggles he had to deal with. Wow, very nice. First place prize was drawing, and it was Gandhari, Draupadi. She maybe like a younger girl. She had like
that candle with her hand in front of her. She was in her nightdress. She's looking. It was like somebody came, somebody she knew could do somebody knocked on the door, and nobody broke. So she was like looking like inquisitive in her nightdress and stuff. He said, well, okay, Gandhara, Draupadi was a covered flame. Yeah, okay, but first place prize, better than Bhishma. Yeah, because her shadow in the painting is death personified. Very scary death personified. So that was Draupadi. If she knew, right, what she was going to cause to happen, she probably would have killed herself. If she was the cause of how many deaths?
18 lakhs of
640 million people. So who could live with that kind of? You need to chop to pieces. People, little girls are looking for trying to collect their father's arms and everything afterwards, put them in a basket. There's Daddy, And so anyway, she was unconscious of what she was doing. But anyway, she was very powerful. So that's that's the Vibhava. They're going away. She has her hair undone. She said, I'm not gonna, and I won't do my hair up until there's the evidence.
His blood was.
Yeah. I washed my hair in Dushashana's blood. It's a whole other story. So anyway, this is Arjuna says, Sinayor, put me here so I can get this Vibhava, this stimulation to make me angry. I can remembering things. That's how it works. It's chanting. You get this. And so Krishna puts Arjuna in front of Duryodhana and Dushashana. No, that would make him angry and keep him in the consciousness. The basic motivation is that at the end of the day, he wants to go back with Draupadi and dump all the helmets at her feet and say, oh, here I've killed all these people and insulted you now and everything else. And she'll tie her hair up and say, thank you, Arjuna. Yeah, it's subtle, but it's still, that's it. That's why her motivation is just to, his wife is harassing him, And also his brother too. His brother is being insulted. So that's the motivation in the beginning, the Vibhava. The Krishna being Diksha Guru, Mohan is trying to drag him away from Mohan, Madan and Cupid, and getting fixed. And next is Govinda, Sadhanabhakti, Diksha Guru. So he puts him right in front of Bhishma and he never did anything wrong to him. Then he wakes up, because Krishna is acting as Diksha Guru. And then he understands what the whole thing means. Yeah, Draupadi may be tying her hair up tonight, but a lot of other girls are going to be untying their hair tonight. But we do this thing. He starts to, that's the beginning. Prabhupada says you can't understand Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita is an extremely emotional book. He said you can't understand it unless you worship the deity. The personal relationship with the deities, and you begin to understand that. So that's the first chapter. A little bit of the second chapter is the Vibhava. That's the basis.
Yes.
And everything else is on that book. But without understanding that, then the whole rest of the book doesn't make any sense. This is going through so many ways to solve the problem. So Arjuna can't solve it by Dharma Shastras and all these kind of things. So then he says to Krishna, he tries to make so many suggestions, and Krishna doesn't. And he says, Sisyas.
Sisyas Tadum Sadimam Prapanna.
Yeah, Sisyas Sadimam Prapanna. I am your disciple. Sisyas Teham Sadimam.
Vam Prapanna.
Sadimam means Sisyas Teham Sadimam.
Instruct me.
Instruct me. Sadimam
Vam Prapanna. I surrender.
Yeah, that's really the most important. At that point, the battle is over. Duryodhana is lost.
Yeah.
It's finished. Krishna will be able to deliver him. It's very, very. And after that, then Krishna takes the role of no longer being friend. Now he's okay. You've asked me, you want me to be your guru and tell you the truth? He says, hey, listen, Rabbi. They're telling him. He says, Pandit. It's like, he's going, not a pundit. Pundit, very philosophical, all this stuff. Two cops in New York are sitting there in their cruiser, Friday night, kind of watching what's happening here. After some time it's going to go on, drug dealing and all this kind of stuff. We're going to have to go out and deal with it. They call it back. We're talking before stuff. And one of the guys is saying, like Arjuna, and his friend says, "Hey, Rabbi," not a rabbi. Arjuna is a man of action. Somebody else can be the pundit. "Hey, Rabbi." So it's like joking. Katha sumsa Katha sumscha nanda chantipan taha. Even though you're giving very learned speeches, the pundit, the lamenting for it is not worth the lamenting. The wise need to So that word sochati, lamentation, is the whole book. And finally, that's the end. Don't lament. I will take you through this whole thing. Shankaracharya says, finish off here. He says, oh Krishna, the battle of Kurukshetra was like a whole river. It had raging currents, just pullings like that. And the banks were so high that once you got in, you could never get out. And what else was there? And there were terrible, ferocious animals in it like that. But you became the ferryman, the boatman, and took your devotees safely across to the other side. The river was Dronacharya, was 400,000 people, 400 million people was Dronacharya. He wasn't just by himself, he was ferocious enough, but he was on a giant army to play with, and everything else. That's like the fast moving river. And then the high banks was Bhishma. Once you're in this thing, you just can't get out. Bhishma's got you trapped there. And then the sharks and stuff was Karna. Who was better, Arjuna or Karna?
Karna, in terms of without Krishna, Karna is the better one.
Duryodhana says, okay, everybody knows this comes down to a duel between you and Arjuna. Okay, tell me honestly, I'm willing to put aside my greed for a moment here. Can you defeat Arjuna? And Karna gave three things. I'm faster than he is. I'm better at long distance shooting than he is. And I'm better at divine ostras than he is. But when the divine son of Devaki is standing on his chariot, everything becomes unpredictable. The Duryodhana was a fool when ahead. So that was the whirlpool. It was Duryodhana. The sharks were Karna, and the whirlpool sucking everybody to the death. Nobody else wanted this. But then Krishna became the very man and took him through all this, which was impossible. It was impossible. Any one of them could have destroyed him. Anyone.
The Pandava.
So Krishna. And then after a few days, they came to Bhishma, and then in the evening they came, the battle's over, and they say, every day this was just this killing on both sides, and in the end there'll be nobody left. The world will be just destroyed and dead. And as long as you're alive, we can't defeat them. And so then he tells you, you want me to die, Yudhishthira? You want me to die? And Yudhishthira says, what can I do? I've made this decision. Unless you'll tell us how to defeat you, I'm gonna tomorrow I'm gonna surrender. And Yudhishthira says, don't do that. Okay? I'll tell you this secret. There's somebody in your army who can defeat me. Sikandi. He had this vow he wouldn't fight anybody in the previous life that had been a woman. Sikandi in the previous life was Amba. Vishnu, they took off and she couldn't get married, and she had this vow of hating him forever. A lot of women hated people. They plan to kill them. I'll kill you. I'll find some way to kill you. So totally attached to him. So that if you just put him in front of me, and I won't be able to look at him, and then Arjuna will get him. Yudhishthira says, who is Shakuni? He says, leave me with the secret of my death. The secret of my death. He also became attached to her. She comes in a dream, halfway dream thing, and after a few days of the battle, he says, oh, Amba, is that you? She says, yes, Bhishma. You know, I haven't heard about you for a long time. Yes, Bhishma. It's kind of fooling kind of spirit thing. And she says, I've come to tell you, I have 2 secrets or something, 2 surprises for you. Well, what is it? I travel all over the world trying to find somebody who could kill you. Nobody could do it. So I went to the Himalaya mountains. I was fasting and starving and everything else. And the voice said from the sky, build a fire, enter into the fire, and your desire will be satisfied. So I built a fire. I collected all kinds of odd stuff until it was higher than my head. And I walked into it. And I could feel the smell of my skin burning, choking me, and stuff. You know? And then I died. And that's my first surprise. I'm dead. Oh, and so have you given up your anger? No, Bhishma. My only thought when I was dying was you wrecked my life. The boy I wanted to marry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so my second surprise is that I've taken birth. I'm a man, a man's body, man's everything else, and so forth. So I'm the heart of a woman. Okay. So I'll meet you tomorrow in the back. Then she's going away. The ghost. He says, Amba. And she says, yes, Bhishma. He says, there's a very thin line between love and hate. He said, yes, Bhishma. So yeah, he developed, you know,
Kind of.
this relationship. Yes, a thin line between love and hate. That's Bhishma. Okay, that's it. How about you want to write a book? Write a book. Yeah. It's some books.
So much into this, I think every character has a dual perspective, kind of.
Oh my gosh, so what 2 when you do it?
It's kind of, yeah. You know,
6.
one way you look at it, they look good, or the other way. You know, Ekalavy's story, Krsna's story, and all these stories have always given this, very tough to understand. You know, on a quick way, you know, everyone thinks that Dronacharya is the bad guy and he did something favor to Arjuna, not realizing what is behind all of this.
Yes.
And the same, here, Bhimas and Ashwatthama.
You look at, what happened to him, he's justified.
And again, his son, Bhima's son, get killed. Ghatotyāja is killed. He put him onto a spot where he cannot, other than dying. It's kind of so. Why Krishna did all of this one, and Bhima's grandson, is a kind of laughing against at the end of, after killing everyone, he's the one who knew it exactly. Everyone comes and asks, why are you laughing? Your head is still laughing. He says that, I was laughing it, knowing all along, and Krishna is the only one knows that, everyone is playing it, and I'm seeing it, you're all, dancing, singing for winning, or kind of. So it's all pointless to me.
Krishna had Bhishma make a promise before the end of the night. He wouldn't. It's going to come to you. What is dharma? What is adharma? So I want you to promise me you won't make any decision. Listen, no matter what happens, I can't interfere. No, let everybody go to his limit. So they're dragging Draupadi in, and it comes to him. The Dhritarashtra says, okay, whatever Bhishma says this is adharma. She should release. I'll accept his decision. Bhishma's about to say, of course this is on dharma. Dragging some girl, your daughter-in-law, him like this, you idiots. But then he remembers that Krishna made him promise not to make a decision, so he says, I can't say. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. It seems so terrible, but Krishna's playing his game.
Yeah. I think every character was played by Krishna very clearly. I think
Draupadi the same way. She was angry, she was screaming, yelling, howling, and everything else, but she never lost faith in Krishna. She complained a lot. She never lost faith that ultimately Krishna would solve everything.
Yeah, if anyone had a little insight, we see that there is a master behind everything. Like every action of it. Of course, we are not the players inside, so we are watching it from the outside. We can see how Krishna controls them all of it. But, we being in their place, maybe we don't even.
It's kind of Richmond in the drama. Same parts. We did my Manipuri trooper were traveling across the U.S. We got to Salt Lake City the same time as Dr. Peter. There were 3 actors. He did a Mahabharata together, Bhagavad-gita Swami. So they Charu brought them there to do it. It's Brigham Young University. It's the Mormon University. It's like a religious place and everything else. Basically, it's for training up a lot of the preachers to go out. So anyway, it was advertised, 3-man drama, and so on. But our Manipuris were there, and so we could add in, like we could start off with a Manipuri drum dance, and when it came time for the martial arts thing, they did a martial arts thing. When they finished off, they said, then you went to heaven where every song is a dance, and the door opened up, now came the So maybe like 400 people. In the beginning, maybe like 100 people there. This is all Chu was expecting. But by the time it finished, every seat was full and people were sitting on the stairs. This thing was just passing all over the campus. Even like the professors were saying, let's go. Okay, we're going to see about we're going to preach to the Hindus, we're going to convert them to Christianity, let's go see their culture, their religion. But by the time, because it was so profound, all you see, by the time it was over, they're looking at the audience and they're going, this is going to be a little bit different than we thought it was, But these stupid tribal people that know these people, it's got a really deep culture and deep philosophy. So Mahabharata, well, that's good. Yeah. One was like fighting. So, the martial artists, they had big swords, whacking away at each other. Okay, so Bhagavad-gita died. That was a quick check, but he died.
Wonderful. Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
You understand? Yes.
Pomegranates are very famous from there.
Huh?
Pomegranates? Pomegranates, like,
Like Afghanistan?
Yeah, from Afghanistan. Yeah.
Also from California. I'm talking about this and stuff. It's a French word.
Pomegranate?
Pomegranate.
Yeah, pure.
Pom means fruit. Okay, granite.
Sweet?
Grains.
Oh, grains.
Grain fruit. Pomegranate. George Bush. One time, George Bush, the French were saying that Americans were too aggressive in their businesses. And George Bush was a defending American businessman. He said, there's not even a word for entrepreneur in the French language. It's a French word, George. Let the British come back and be charged with things. A little bit more intelligence. Well, let the Hindus deal with the philosophy, the Americans deal with toys, and the British can try and run the world. This is part of it.
Seems like.
Exactly.
Seems like, but not
This is more. This is
the quality of awareness.
oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
way.
They got plastic.
Yeah, it's not really Persian,
No, and the design. This is
Yeah.
imitating
Image,
Persian
yeah,
design.
imitation.
Design. The wool and stuff, it lasts for so long.
Oh, yeah.
It was attached. Let's see. There are 12 people here, 12 participants. Okay. Say hello.
Hare Krishna.
Subal.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
This is Jagaguru and Madhavi and Rasarani, the daughters of that, by Carolyn. Yeah. And also we have Abhinandana, Arjuna Das, Carlos Roll. Carlos Roll grows medical marijuana. Yeah. Karuna Shakti Lalita Gopi, she's a professor at the university. She's by second biggest university in Mexico. And she was elected Teacher of the Year for her students. She did a PhD in jazz.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah. Madhu Manjari, our second disciple. First disciple's gone to heaven. She's in Australia now. from Peru. Mitravinda Devi Dasi. She's bilingual. What is somebody who speaks 3 languages? Huh? Somebody who speaks 2 languages? Somebody speaks 1 language? And Norte Americano. Okay, Hare Krishna. Take sufficient hot milk and dream of Krishna.
Hare Krishna.